All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, having a bit of drama over here, not too terribly bad. Let me change the properties a little bit. Damn you. Damn you. Okay. Desktop audio is fine. This needs to be pumped up to about 120%. Okay, cool. Yeah, OBRS does updates every once in a blue moon, and they like to change your settings, and then you won't figure it out until you do a video. And I remember from my previous video, it was a little bit low on the audio, so it is what it is. So, Ark came out with a new video, which I thought was pretty interesting. I watched it already. It's a 15-minute video. I won't watch it with you guys. I'll just do a TLDR on it. So, if you haven't been keeping tabs on our boy Ark here, I have been a little bit. Because I did the whole, I don't think I made a video out of it. It's not 60 upgrades. Yeah, I asked for the forum post, so I can just click this forum post really fast and it'll take us over to Ark. So Ark's been, no, I remember now. It was Tello, who made a video on Ark, about Paladins, being, OP, right? And basically, the statement here, it's actually quite short. I'll read it really quick. It says, I keep seeing posts about Paladins being OP, what Paladin spells are OP and need to be brought into line with the rest of the classes, question mark. I've heard the same thing for the past 20 years, and it is Bubble and Lay on Hands. Why in Season of Discovery, with all of the new runes and spell changes, are people still talking about Bubble and Lay on Hands instead of the new spells added to the game that need clear balancing? He talks about Mage blinking, Rogues being able to reduce your armor by a ton, Shamans having Riptide, Earth Shield, Shield Mastery, Spirit Wolves. I think they're the God class right now. Hunters have Chimera Shot and Explosive Trap, which of course resets Chimera Shot, giving them about a 6,000 damage burst. Priests have Shadow Word Death, giving them a rather terrifying burst on top of all of their dots. Warlocks have Unstable Affliction, which, yeah, when you dispel it, it's literally ridiculous. On top of that, Unstable Affliction costs almost no mana. It uses retail spell pushback, so she's like a 1.5 second cast time, where if they take damage, it's like a 0.5 second spell pushback. It's just, and it costs them like 160 mana. It's just stupid. I hate Unstable Affliction. It is opportunity costed pretty good in their rune tree, though. I will give it that, because they can't have a Doom Guard out. No, is it Doom Guard? No, it's not Doom Guard. They can't have the big scary pet out that can charge stun you for like 3 seconds, and have Unstable Affliction at the same time. This is just a few things I've been adding in Season of Discovery that I feel need to be adjusted, but no one is talking about. Paladins have a Seal Twist to match the DPS, have 2 Seal Twist to match the DPS of other classes. So again, I ask, what Paladin spells in Classic Season of Discovery are OP, blah, 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 blah. Now, I responded to this a while ago, but I just did a post on this thing here. These 2 responses are probably from that. PvP 26 replies. What's going on here? Paladins do not need. Okay. Paladins do not need. So I guess no one replied to my post here that I remember, at least. Okay, cool. But there's been some interesting drama. No, there's no drama going on. What was I trying to think? Right. So basically, what's been happening is, honestly, I have no idea what's been happening. From my perspective, Ark did a post. He did this post right here, and then Tello picked it up, which is how I found out about it. Tello did a video saying his piece on the Paladin OP debate. And then Ark, I think, has made 2 videos on the subject at this point, and this is just the most recent video on the subject that he's made. But he seems quite passionate about it, and the TLDR in this video is he's basically saying, my mana bar doth suck in Season of Discovery right now, therefore it needs to be fixed. Which I can get behind technically, right? So I'm on board with that. He makes a bunch of other points about, like, how Paladins have this issue and how Paladins have that issue. It's all in service of people are complaining that Paladins are overpowered and need more nerfs. And he's basically making the argument that that's a really, really stupid premise to have, blah, 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 blah. But near the end of the video, what really got me and really pissed me off was he said that he agrees that bubble needs to be nerfed. And my brain was like, "Buh!" And his suggestions for how to fix the fact that Blizzard didn't give us any mana on our on the ret gear is that they need to reduce the mana cost of Paladin spells between 30 to 50%. He says that near the end of the video here. And at that point, I just kind of lost it, and I did a reply. So here's my reply here. My reply is basically, let's see here. Okay, let me get this straight. You insist on wearing the wrong gear to be PvPing in as a Paladin SOD, are shocked when you have a 2,700 mana bar. Actually, I need to edit that. Edit. There we go. That's better. Mana bar. Are proposing solutions such as minus 30% to minus 50% mana costs on Paladin spells as a solution. I say solutions twice, so I gotta edit this. My writing's terrible. Instead of, oh, I don't know, normal ret gear with mana on it be put in the game. It's so bad. I don't understand this. I don't understand this argument at all. All right, so let me be clear. I've actually spent a lot of time on the PTR test server and actually looked at the math of everything, right? And I've been the one advocating in Season of Discovery that they bring all the other classes' spells in line with classic World of Warcraft Jedi curve and ratio philosophy, if that makes any sense. So, for example, if you're doing an instant cast spell, the base damage of that instant cast spell and its mana cost should be near 1-to-1, which is exactly what you see on Exorcism, right? Exorcism will do, around about 400 mana, and she costs 340 mana at like max rank, right? That's perfectly in line with Classic. The next thing that's in line with Classic is that offensive spells have lower spell power ratio behind them than healing spells. Not by much. It's only like a minus 30% spell power ratio, but it is there. So, for example, I think our Holy Light spells have, they're close to 100% spell power ratio, not quite 100%. I think they're sitting at it's like 90 or 80% or something. I really don't know, to be perfectly honest. But then you have some of the hardest hitting hard cast spells in the game. They only have like a 70% spell power ratio behind them. Like Lightning Bolt has a 70% spell power ratio behind it. The highest single target hard cast, hardest hitting spell power ratioed spell that I know of in the entire game. There's two of them. One is Mind Flay from Shadow Priest. That has an insanely good mana efficiency, but it's a channeled spell. They have to root themselves into place. Any kind of damage they take will basically nullify the channeling. It's got a lot of drawbacks to it. And the other one is also a priest spell, which is Smite. Smite has some stupid spell power ratio behind it, like 80%. Like, who the hell thought that was a good idea? Yeah, Smite priests are actually objectively terrifying. The point is, if you look at all the spells in Season of Discovery, almost all of them are perfectly in line with classic World of Warcraft, like mana ratios. And Paladin spells are also all within line of classic WoW spell power ratios. So everything is fine. Like, you don't need... How do I put this? If we lowered the mana cost of spells on Paladins, suddenly the properly geared Paladins are broken as fuck. Can you imagine Holy Shock Paladins that are running around with a minus 30% cost to their spells? That would be fucking nuts. Can you imagine a properly geared Ret Paladins running around, or Ret Reckoning Paladins, or even just Ret Paladins running around doing that stuff? Okay, so... Oh, God damn it. So, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I've been making videos on this subject, because I make guides and gearing guides for Paladin, right? And the moment I saw that the Blizzard, in their infinite wisdom, put no intellect on any of the Paladin gear except for the plus healing Paladin gear, was the moment I was like, Blizzard, you don't understand the Paladin player base. These people are objectively retarded. They're not stupid. They have above average IQs, but for some reason, what they want to do with their Paladin, don't ask me how it works. What they want to do with their Paladins is they want to put on the highest DPS gear they can possibly find on their Paladin. They also want it to be plate mail for some reason, which I find even more interesting, because they won't throw on mail gear. It has to be plate mail. Don't ask me how that mentality works. But they want to throw on the highest DPS gear they can possibly find on their Paladin, and they don't give a flying fuck if it has mana on it or not. And we've seen this before in Classic World of Warcraft, which is why I wanted to pull this up really fast here. So I have an old video of S-Fan here, and you can even hear Drakova talking in the background. I'll just play it here for a hot sec.
Is the Rogue's opener with dagger called Ambush?
Right, so that's Drakova talking. Okay? S-Fan and Drakova used to be friends, childhood friends, you know, blah, 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 blah. Drakova, absolute king, Giga Chad, goated Paladin, theory crafter, PvPer, you know the drill. S-Fan is in a Warsong Gulch, being pocket healed, which is fine, with 3,437 mana and 5,211 HP. I do believe this is phase 3 because he's rocking an Ashkandi.
Yeah.
In the history of Paladin gearing, because I've been around for it, the entirety of like, I've been around for it for like at least, at least 8 years at this point. There used to be a mentality in Classic World of Warcraft. I remember Drakova exploring this. I remember S-Fan being part of that exploration back in the day, where the idea behind Paladin PvP, especially for a deep ret Paladin, was you were going to wear the exact same gear that a warrior would wear. So we're talking strength, stamina, agility. You were going to say, to hell with your intellect. Oh, yeah, he's also got the damn intellect buff on and Kings, and he's only at 3,437 mana. Fuck off. Okay, so that means that his base mana bar is probably close to, like, 2,800, somewhere around there. Maybe even less. Yeah, probably less with Kings. Yeah, he might be rocking a 2,700 mana bar. If you don't know, a butt-naked Paladin has 2,200 mana, if I recall correctly. Maybe a bit more. Maybe they've got 2,500 mana. I know they, maybe 2,400. I forget, to be perfectly honest. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, there was this phase of Paladin theory crafting where people were like, to hell with the mana bar. It didn't take us very long in Classic World of Warcraft to figure out that that was pretty goddamn suboptimal, right? And by not very long, I'm talking like 3 years. But eventually we settled on like the all stats gear, and we could basically just, mathed out and mathematically proved and tested thoroughly that all stats gear was by far the best gear you could possibly put on your Paladin. So we're talking like 3 to 4 piece Avengers, to hell with the 5-set bonus. You put on 3 pieces of rank 12 or rank 13 gear. That gear has all the stats on it, strength, stamina, agility, critical strike, intellect, spell power, MP5, just everything you can, every stat in the entire game. And you ended up running around with like 5,800 to 6,000 HP, somewhere around there. And your mana bar would vary from 4,800 to like, 4,100 mana. And that's what Reckoning, Deep Ret, everything, like anything but Holy Shock Paladin was basically perfectly happy in that PvP gear. In Season of Discovery, what has happened is Blizzard has been increasing our DPS as Paladins at the direct expense of our mana bar, right? You follow me on that? They're like, oh, well, you're going to have exorcism, and exorcism is going to be on a 7.5 second cooldown, but it's still going to cost, you know, like 340 mana. Here, have Sacred Shield, and have, but it costs you like 180 mana to Sacred Shield. What else are we doing ubiquitously as a paladin that costs us a fair bit of mana? Stopping to Flash of Light ourselves all the time costs a fair bit of mana. The point is, Holy Shock is another really good example. You know, at 6-second cooldowns on Holy Shocks. The moral of the story is that they've been making us competitive in PvP from a DPS perspective directly at the expense of our mana bar. Which means that having a thick mana bar on your Paladin is now, in the Season of Discovery, is now more important than it ever was before. And then Blizzard basically makes the cardinal sin of just absolutely refusing to put mana on our gear, which is baffling, right? So this is a complete screw up on Blizzard's part, not really knowing what the needs of Paladin are in PvP, especially in Season of Discovery. We know in Classic WoW, running around with a non-existent mana bar as a deep rep Paladin is bad. You can imagine how bad it is in Season of Discovery when you have to use things like Exorcism, Rebuke, Avenger Shield is like 500 mana. Dear God, kill me. Even Rebuke is mana expensive. Divine Storm is 150 mana. Completely forgot about that one. Yeah, they give you Crusader Strike, but Crusader Strike gives you mana back based upon how thick your mana bar is. So you're just like, fuck, right? The moral of the story is only a moron would look at Season of Discovery Paladin needs and the environment that you're existing in and think to themselves, I am going to go PvP with a 2,700 mana bar. You got to be some kind of special. And I've been enjoying quite a lot watching Ark's dueling guide videos. The reason why I've been enjoying watching his dueling guide videos is because, you know, he might be on to something with it. Every bit of logic and math and playtesting and all my PvP experience and all my PvP combat, you know, everything about Season of Discovery tells me this is a terrible, no good idea. So if he's going to go make dueling videos and prove me wrong about that, or PvP guides and prove me wrong about that, I am literally all ears. I'm all like, holy shit, take my money. Please go and do that. But I've watched the videos and I'm still like, nah, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all. Anyways, so let's talk solutions, okay? Well, let's not talk solutions. Let's continue on with our weird little story here. So I was sitting here basically after making this comment and watching this video and getting pissed off. I was like, oh, God, should I really make a video? It seems kind of mean. You'll notice I don't make a video critiquing Ark's Paladin PvP guides. The reason why I don't do that is because I don't really have anything good to say about it. The TLDR on what he's doing is you wear the wrong gear, you're going to learn the wrong lessons. So in my assessment, he's wearing the wrong gear. He's trying to force a square peg through a round hole. He's trying to create custom cabinets with a goddamn chainsaw. So I find it fascinating to watch him try to make it work. But the moment he opens his mouth and starts bitching about the situation that he finds himself in is the moment I'm going to, reach up and bitch slap him and be like, bro, you're wearing the wrong gear. Wear the right gear. Literally, if you wear the wrong gear as a paladin, you'll come to the wrong conclusions. Next thing you know, you're making videos about how you think you know shit when you don't. And then Palatime has to go make a video about it as well. But anyways, I thought I was going to be too mean. I was like, maybe I shouldn't make a video on this. Maybe I will make a video on this. Give me some time to collect my thoughts and calm down, and then I'll make a more reasonable video. And then our boy responded to my comment. And the response is, haven't I beat you in every duel? 5, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm gearing fine. Chill out. Stay blessed. Okay. All right. Game on, I guess. Yeah, you think you're gearing fine. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, this is an entire video of Arc basically saying, Paladin sucks, please do not nerf, send buffs, okay? That's basically the TLDR on this video. Paladin sucks, send, do not nerf, please send buffs. Meanwhile, I'll sit here and tell you that if you properly build your Paladin for PvP, in Season of Discovery, there's only a handful of classes that can actually beat you. And even then, there's only a handful of circumstances that those handful of classes can beat you. I'll give you an idea, right? You'll notice that I put out a number of duel videos, and I'm losing to certain classes, right? Like Zaryu absolutely annihilated me. Then I check the math on his burst, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's doing 8,000 to 12,000 damage in a burst where it starts with me being sheeped, and then it turns into me being stunned for 5 seconds, and then silenced for another 4 seconds. In a dueling context, you cannot survive that burst as a Paladin, like very well at all. In a non-dueling context, however, if you're fighting mages, there are things like, mobs in the open world that'll prevent the sheep, which prevents the burst. There are, what is the other option? You actually have healing potion and whipperroot tuber that you could use. You could use a purification potion, for example. That'll cleanse the sheep off, stop the sheep, stop the burst. I made a video where it was like, hey, if we stack enough arcane resist, and you don't need a lot of it, you only need like 100 arcane resist, suddenly sheep will start breaking down, and again, stop the sheep, stop the burst. So they can beat you, but there's a lot of counters under a lot of circumstances. The only other class that you really struggle with a properly geared Paladin is Affliction Warlock. And even then, it really depends on what context are we talking about here. Are we talking about a Affliction Warlock in a duel? Okay, well, then you just put on Shadow Resist gear and you're going to beat his ass. Are we talking about Affliction Warlock in open world PvP? Okay, well, run away. Like, use Divine Steed, run the fuck away from him, get into your Shadow Resist gear, and then come back and ask him if he wants to play round 2 Electric Boogaloo, right? It's going to be an open world duel, basically, but you're going to win that one. It's basically just put on Shadow Resist gear, and things get a lot easier, a hell of a lot quicker. Now, have I tested that? No, but I have fought them enough without the Shadow Resist gear to be like, oh yeah, if I have Shadow Resist gear, this is going to make this far, far easier. Shadow Priests also fit into that category, where I'm having really, really close duels with Shadow Priests without resistance gear, and it becomes painfully obvious that if I just throw on Shadow Resist gear, then you'll beat them relatively easily. Every other class in the game is getting absolutely murked by a properly geared Paladins. Rogues don't stand a chance even if they're teeing. Druids can't kill you unless literally everything out of them crits. They like throw 5 spells at you and they need like all 5 of them to crit, and then maybe you die as a Paladin. And I say maybe you die as a Paladin because if you get like a crit heal yourself, then it's just it counters it. And even that's under a dueling context where you can't whipperroot or use healing potions. You get the idea. We've seen videos of that, of course. I'll duel druids. They're absolutely terrifying, but you kind of just have enough HP and are durable enough that you just kind of walk over them. Same thing with hunters. Been walking over hunters, no problem. Warriors are sometimes scary, which I find interesting and makes me wonder if they're using the whole diamond flask setup and beating the crap out of me. But part of the reason why warriors are a bit of an issue is because I'm a little undergeared. I don't have a Malistar's defender, so I'm missing like 1,000 armor, which is like a really big deal if you're going to fight a warrior. Glad Stance 2 is very interesting. But no, if you wear the wrong gear, you're going to learn the wrong lessons. So, for example, everyone thinks Shaman is overpowered right now, right? Even arcs like, Shaman's a God tier class. And I made a video where I was like, okay, I don't think they're actually God tier. I need to retcon that video a little bit. I thought Earth Shield did not proc against spells, but then somebody told me that it actually did. That changes the math somewhat. And it basically means that if Earth Shock is Earth Shield. Earth Shield is proccing with spell casts. That changes the math on how susceptible shamans are to being bursted out of existence by certain classes that can, in fact, burst. It makes it so that those classes need about every time they burst on the shaman, there's not a 80% chance they kill the shaman. There's more like a 30% chance that they roll high enough on their burst that they can kill their shaman. And it actually does become possible for the shaman, if they're willing to give up a shit ton of their DPS, to actually gear to be thick enough to actually be able to survive most bursts in the game. Most shamans won't do that, however. But if I look at the shaman situation and their matchups, I'm aware that there's like 4 classes that can actually kill a shaman, whereas there's like 1 class that you might struggle with as a paladin, and that's like mage. Every other class is there's 3 classes you'll struggle against if you don't have resist gear. The moment you get resist gear, you're not really struggling against anything, including the mages. The only class that you might actually struggle against, unironically, as a properly geared paladin in Season of Discovery, Phase 4, are other paladins, particularly ret head paladins. Paladins like Ark here, who are going to be running around like 4,200 HP and like 2,700 mana bar. However, in those circumstances, it's literally just respec to Reckoning, and they're probably going to get their asses kicked. All right, what the hell is the point of this video? The point of this video was I warned Blizzard that this would happen, and so I want to warn Blizzard again against all this stuff, right? Because I do not like watching people who don't know a goddamn fucking thing about Paladin PvP making videos about how Blizzard should change things to make it so that they can do what they want to do. So Blizzard's literally given Ark here the ability to put on intellect gear, but our boy doesn't want to wear intellect gear. Our boy wants to wear the gear that gives him as much damage as possible, which of course means he's not going to have a damn mana bar. Okay, cool. Then he's going to go out into the world of PvP, and he's going to, learn a bunch of things about how bad it is that you don't have a mana bar. And rather than fix that himself, he's going to make a video bitching to Blizzard about how Paladins need changes to make them better, when really he's just basically being retarded, right? Are we clear on this? Okay, cool. Now, where Ark is not being a complete moron is that Blizzard is technically the one at fault here, not Ark. Ark is only about 30% of this problem is Ark, and about 70% of it is Blizzard, right? The reason why it's 70% Blizzard's fault in my mind is that the Ret PvP gear has no intellect on it. The Ret raid gear has no intellect on it. There's no Ret gear. There's no gear in Classic World of Warcraft that screams, I am Ret Paladin gear. Oh, by the way, I have intellect on it. That does not exist. In Classic WoW, all the Ret gear comes with intellect on it. The only way that you could be a Paladin and have this tiny ass little mana bar is if you're doing what Esfand is doing over here, and you're wearing like pure warrior gear, but you're a Paladin, right? That's the only possible way in Classic World of Warcraft you could be wearing Ret Paladin gear and have a non-existent mana bar. And I made this video a while ago basically saying how bad of an idea this was on Blizzard's end. And I'm like, oh, this is a terrible idea, Blizzard. This is going to lead to the following. I shit you not. I made this video like over a month ago. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that all these morons, these Paladin fucking apes, are going to put on the Ret PvP gear, have no mana whatsoever, and then get on the forums to start bitching at you that they have no fucking mana bars, and that Paladins somehow need buffs or changes, when in reality all they need is properly itemized Paladin PvP gear, which, oh, by the way, is strength, stamina, intellect, heavy on the intellect, low on the strength, low on the stamina. So we're talking like 20 stamina, 14 strength, 14 intellect, and oh, by the way, this thing has 1% critical strike chance. Maybe it has some spell power on it. Maybe it has some MP5. But other than that, the mission critical is strength, stamina, intellect, high stamina, medium-sized chunks of strength and intellect. If it's no intellect on it, it's not ret gear. Period. End of story. Or more accurately to say, you're going to get people like Ark here. You're going to get people like Savix, where they put on the damn gear, and next thing I know, I have to watch videos and read forum posts about how life as a paladin, deep ret paladin, sucks ass in PvP. Hooray. Riveting. All right, so let's compare this horrifyingly badly built paladin here to a more properly geared paladin. I'm going to pause the video and I'll gear one up really fast. But I already made this video before. The TLDR on it was you want to wear 6-piece rank gear. You can wear the ret gear. It's perfectly fine. You can wear the 6-piece tier 2 ret gear. It's perfectly fine. You can wear the ret gear in Season of Discovery Phase 4. It is perfectly fine and serviceable. But if your off pieces do not have intellect on them, you are an ape. You are an ape. I don't know what to tell you. And you're just going to be running around with a 2700 mana bar. I don't want to hear that you have mana problems. You did this to your own goddamn self. The fuck is wrong with you? That's basically my standpoint on this. But no, here we are. I got to deal with forum posts, and I got to deal with videos, and I have to make here I am roasting Ark over this. But then again, I roasted Savix over it too, so I guess this is just life for me. All right, let me pause the video, and we'll gear one up here. If I recall correctly, in the video I made on this subject, you end up with about a 5,200-ish HP bar. And you end up having about 4,400-ish mana if you're a properly geared ret paladin in Season of Discovery Phase 4. Of course, you have all the fire, your fire resist is fine and all that stuff too. But just give me a sec here, and I'll do that really fast. All right, we are back, and your boy is getting a little distracted. Yeah, so I keep trying to gear this thing up, and then I realize, like, oh shit, they got like the new Judgment crowns in the game. Like, you know, okay, interesting. I guess I got to go check that out. They've been doing some interesting stuff. Damage done by holy spells. It still doesn't have intellect on it. Please kill me. Still no intellect. Judgment Great Helm. No intellect. No intellect. I don't mind there not being intellect on the PvE gear. There not being intellect on the PvE gear is perfectly fine. It's when you have the specifically dedicated PvP gear for ret paladins that magically doesn't have any intellect on it whatsoever. It is completely imbecilic on Blizzard's part. This isn't so bad. You can see they're going with the TBC strategy of damage and healing. If you recall from all my TBC videos, oh, they got field plate. I gotta check that out. But if you recall from all my TBC videos, oh shit, let me go. Oh, hello. Oh, let me type this one. Wow, head is full of the new judgment and rank gear. Yeah. Oh boy. Like I said, your boy's getting distracted here. Intellect, damage and healing. Healing done by damage. Okay. What about the other piece of shit? Would you fuck off? Would you please give them intellect? What the hell are you doing? What is this shit? All right, so I'm looking at Field Marshal's Lamellar headgear. It's got 22 strength, 46 stamina, improved critical strike chance by 1%, and increased damage and healing done by magical spells by 23. This is dog shit. This is terrible. What the fuck are you doing? If I want pure DPS, full retard ret headgear, I have that in Judgment set. The PvP gear needs to have mana, you absolute fucking apes at Blizzard. Holy shit, what the fuck is this? Fuck off. That's just awful. The only silver lining here is that the stamina, intellect, critical strike, healing, and damage is actually pretty terrifying. If you recall from all my TBC theory crafting videos, we learned that what we wanted was a 50-50 mix between spell power and damage gear, and this healing and spell power damage gear. If they need to put intellect on the Field Marshal's Lamellar gear, otherwise Blizzard are truly fucking shitting the bed on this one. And at that point, I have no complaints about Arc anymore. At this point, I'm just all in on complaining about Blizzard. Stamina, intellect, nature, frost resist. But then the other stuff doesn't have anything. Like, what? Why are there two different helms here? Stamina, intellect, stamina. Oh, draconic. Okay, so it's like molten. Got it. Nature, crown. That's just messed up. Anyways, let's go look at what we've created here. All right, so we've got 4,000, almost 4,000, 5,200 HP. We have 3,600 mana. I will note that 200 of that mana is coming from the fact that I put 5 points into Divine Intellect and no points into Divine Might. If I strip these points out, yeah, it drops down. It literally is worth like 200 mana, 210 mana for putting that in there. I don't know if we need, it depends. Do we want more strength? Do we not want more strength? This is why I say that this problem is like 70% Blizzard's fault, right? It's 70% Blizzard's fault and not these morons who wear this gear and then try to make videos telling me that their class sucks because when they put on the ret gear, ret paladin no good, right? Well, yeah, it's... Like, who do I blame? Do I blame the guy putting on the ret gear and making the videos? Or do I blame the guy who, Blizzard, who refuses to put proper ret gear actually in the game for us to even put on in the first goddamn place? So I don't know who the fuck at Blizzard needs to be fired, but this is absolutely obscene, that the fact that they keep trying to give us this fucking strength, stamina, intellect, spell power, critical strike gear. We need fucking intellect, you absolute fucking apes. Anyways, trying to make this thing work with a 6 Pete's nightcap, no intellect gear is pretty painful. You can see we've only got 3,600 mana now. Let's assume we have 3,400 mana. So our boy Arc has a 2,700 mana bar. And I got to divide 2,700 by 3? 34, right? Yes, okay. Divide it by that. So I've increased the total mana bar by 20%. That's really bad. Times 1.2? No. Okay. So I guess I've increased it by 25% then. 2,700 times 1.25. A little bit more than that. Okay, so we've increased his mana bar by about 26%. That's not that great. That's why I want the extra 200 mana, because I'm painfully aware that that's like an 8% increase in his mana bar. Holy shit. 0.08. Yeah, it's literally an 8% increase in his mana bar. You're like, 200 mana, that's nothing. Well, if you started with 2,700, it ain't nothing. Stupid. Right, so even I'm struggling to make this thing work in Season of Discovery. You can see here that we have Rings of Entropy. 2 of them, they're not unique. They're by far the best ring that you could put on your your Ret Paladin. Why? Because they're a Stamina Intellect ring. Yeah, it's got plus healing. Plus healing is one of your better stats, believe it or not, on a Deep Ret Paladin. But they also come with Critical Strike Chance, which is it's more valuable to you than anything else. So this build, despite having a thicker mana bar and having a thicker health bar and a thicker mana bar, what you're going to find is her melee critical strike chance is actually quite high. What's even better is that her plus healing is considerably higher than normal at 358. We can check that out in a second. We are wearing 2-piece Lawbringers. Some of it's for the fire resist, some of it's for the intellect. It is the plus healing intellect. Lawbringer 2-piece, but why do we take that? Well, because we like the mana from our judgment of our mana is our issue. So getting more mana back when we judge wisdom of the target is often enough more valuable to us than the plus 200 spell power from Judging Crusader on the target, believe it or not. But more importantly, these two pieces of gear come with critical strike chance for spells and attacks. So you're actually not missing out on that much DPS compared to the other option. And since it's giving you intellect, and since it's giving you more mana when you hit things, it's just the way to go. There may or may not be a better neck piece than this. I couldn't really find one. So we're just going with stamina, intellect, plus healing. We'll talk about that why in a second. Same thing with fireproof cloak. We're taking the fireproof cloak just because it has tons of fire resistance on it, and it also comes with intellect. Yeah, it has plus healing on it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Everything else about this is pretty standard deep ret stuff. You see we got Shroud of Pure Flame that really helps against rogues. We have Heart of the Scale. Heart of the Scale is kind of critical. The plus 20 fire resistance and the fire reflect damage cannot be dispelled. So this build just on demand has 20 more fire resist than you think it does. And these two things together really, really hurt certain classes that are going after you in melee. So enhancement shamans, for example, this is really going to hurt them. 70 fire reflect damage is nothing to turn your nose up at. It really screws over rogues. They take a ton of reflect damage if they don't have any fire resist. So you can see we have 135 fire resist. If we pop that trinket, we'll go up to 155 fire resist. 160 is the fire resist that I would prefer to have, because at that point I'm hitting the soft cap of 140 fire resist, even if the enemy brought pen gear to the party. But having 5 less fire resist than that is still perfectly fine. Having 155 fire resist is perfectly serviceable. Basically, that means we have enough fire resist that every fire damaging spell we're going to be hit by in the game is going to be minus 25% damage or better. It also gives us something stupid like I can do the math here really fast. I know 160 fire resist gives us a 45% chance to resist grenade stuns. So you're probably looking at like a 42.5% chance to resist grenade stuns. Super, super valuable, right? Because Goblin Mortar, Thorium Grenades going off, you just get to walk through them as a Paladin. They won't interrupt your healing. You just get to keep trucking along. Really, really valuable. Do not neglect your fire resist in Season of Discovery. Also, we have fire resist Librams in this damn thing. We have Faithbringer, because a Faithbringer is a reasonable weapon that most of us can get. I have a Faithbringer or can hope to get. Lava Dredger is also really, really good if you're being on the defensive as a deep ret Paladin. With a Lava Dredger, that's when your mana bar really, really starts shooting up. But she's just a nice mix of offense and defense, spell power and damage and whatnot. If we find ourselves in a mana war, of course, we can go with a Lava Dredger. That suddenly shoots our mana bar up to damn near 4,000 because she is thick. Her problem is she's kind of fast for a two-hander. We don't really like that. She's a little bit low damage for a two-hander. We don't really like that. But other than that, she's got everything that we could possibly want on a weapon. But we're going to go back to Faith. Yes, indeed. And just talk about this for a second. All right, so why are all these stats important? Why is this here a significantly more properly built Paladin in Season of Discovery than whatever the fuck Ark is running around in, or whatever the hell Savix is running around in? Because Savix runs around basically in the exact same build that Ark is running around in. And I'm just like, you people are nuts. I don't know what you're thinking. Just don't make fucking videos complaining about it. Have fun, enjoy, you go do you, but if you're going to make a video bitching about it, I'm going to make a video about how you're stupid. All right, so why is this important? Well, because I have figured out, I've looked at and experienced and recorded, I have video evidence of every bursting class in the entire game, what their bursts look like, and then so I have a very good idea of how much standing HP to survive a burst you actually need in Season of Discovery, and the answer is about 6,000. Everybody and their dog are doing roughly 6,000 damage in their burst. They're doing that while you're stunned or while you're CC'd or while you can't really, get a heal off before the burst completes. Maybe you can like whip a root tuber or a healing potion, but you're getting bitch slapped with 6,000 damage on the regular in bursts. The only exception to this is mages. They're 8,000 to 12,000. I think their damage is while you're stunned and or silenced for 9 seconds out of a sheep. I think it's fucking retarded and it needs to be nerfed. But what do I know? So basically, we need our standing HP to be about 6,000 effective hit points. Does this build have that, and versus what classes does it not have that, would be a better question. All right, well, we can actually calculate that. Let me go to talents here really fast. Let me go to runes. I do believe it's the feat, and it's Sacred Shield. And Sacred Shield's base amount, I want to say, is 250 at level 60. Yeah. Anyways, this build has 300 and we'll say 360 plus healing. That's this. You're about to see why the plus healing gear is valuable, because Sacred Shield has a 40% spell power ratio behind her, and she's not subject to the minus 30% healing reduction in PvP. So I have to take this. I have to multiply this by 0.4, and then I have to add the 250 Sacred Shield onto that. So this Ret Paladin running around with this gear here has about a 400 hit point Sacred Shield. My current Paladin, or my Paladin build that I'm going for, who's wearing Pure Plus healing gear, he's going to have around a 4,000, I should say she's going to have around about, yes, it's a male dwarf. I'm calling him a she. Sue me. 450 HP shield. So the shield can get is somewhat thicker. I think with a lava dredger, I have like 500 plus healing. 0.4 equals, and then we plus 400 the 250, and very quickly you can see that we're getting up there to about a 450 HP Sacred Shield. But if you recall, we had 394 Sacred Shields. Now, why this is important is because most bursts in the game are going to proc at least 2 Sacred Shields. They take longer than 6 seconds in order to execute, and therefore you're going to get 2 Sacred Shield procs. So you basically get to multiply this by 2 and add it to your HP pool. So now you can see that we have 5,151 HP. But if I add the Sacred Shield, a double Sacred Shield proc, you can see that we're getting very, very, very close to being unkillable by most bursts in the game. On top of that, our fire resistance is so high that if any fire damage component is a part of that burst, you're going to survive it very, very comfortably. So, for example, a hunter that is chimera shotting you, explosive trap launchering, and then chimera shotting you. If all of that crits, they do like 6,400 damage. But if you have enough fire resist, you're gonna like reduce that damage by like 600. And the next thing you know, this paladin survives that burst. Not with a lot of HP, but comfortably survives that burst. I would prefer if this build had a bit more HP. If I could squeeze in a little bit more HP here or there, I would. I could easily do that by, of course, just throwing on a lava dredger. I'm a big fan of lava dredger. If you're deep ret paladins, one of your biggest strengths as a deep ret paladin is that, unlike a reckoning paladin, you can switch your weapon out whenever the hell you want to. So, for example, if you're at range from a hunter and you're getting shot up by a hunter, there's no reason for you to be running around in a hand of rag or in a weapon that's going to reduce your survivability, if that makes sense. You could, when you jump on top of someone, you could switch into your more appropriate weapon. But if you're at range and you're suspecting you're going to be bursted on, why not be in a lava dredger? A lava dredger does, all kinds of nice things for you. Gives you more mana to play with while you're in that bad situation. Gives you significantly more fire resist. Gives you more health, making it very easy for you to survive those bursts. The point is, even with a Faithbringer, this build is very, 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 very close to being unkillable by most bursts in the game. Druid bursts, they do about 6,000 damage. As you saw, we're very, very close to being able to survive a Druid burst, despite the fact that none of their damage is fire resistible. Again, I prefer a little bit more HP. My advice, of course, is to eat your Wild Blossom berries from Fellwood. That'll give you an extra 10 stamina. All you need to be you just need to be out of combat and push button, and you'll get plus 10 stamina, and that'll easily make you survivable. So this build is optimized from a burst survivability standpoint against many, many, many enemy classes. It has lower DPS from a strength, from an attack power perspective compared to, say, Ark's build. But it has, well, on top of the thicker mana bar, it has about the same amount of critical strike. The one thing that this build really, really does have going for her is she has very, very high critical strike chance. Basically, she has the exact same amount of melee crit as the Ret Head build, is what I keep calling it. But again, let's compare it to Ark's build over here. Oh boy. Our boy has 4,261 HP. When I was dueling him, he had he had a better weapon, I do believe, so he had 4,400 HP. And he had a 2,700 mana bar when I was dueling him. That's, you ain't surviving shit, homie. Every burst in the game is going to be able to pop your ass. You're nowhere near close enough to survive being bursted on. And on top of that, there is no fucking way you can achieve your minimum amounts of fire resist gear in Season of Discovery and simultaneously have this low of an HP bar. For example, I've got these two trinkets here, which are increasing both my stamina and my fire resist. I would literally have to type in none here. Come on, I know, it's a weird one. So if I remove these and I replace them with DPS trinkets, so that would be like, you know, Hand of Justice, and then the other one would be that trinket that fears you type deal. That's the only fucking way you can possibly get this HP. Look at this. I still have 4,800 hit points, and I'm wearing fire resist lesser Librams. How the fuck did you get 4,400 HP? Like, how far down the Ret Head retard rabbit hole did we have to go to get 4,400 HP? And I saw this with Savix, too. He's like, he has 4,200 HP, and he's fighting Zaryu. And I'm like, how? Like, no, I'm impressed. How? I don't know how you had your mana. Oh, I don't know how to get HP that low. I objectively do not know how to get my HP that low. I'm not going to lie. So my only conclusion that's coming to is that every piece of gear that they possibly have on their Paladin is designed to ignore their HP bar. It's designed to ignore their mana bar. It's designed to ignore their burst survivability, okay? And it's designed to ignore their fire resist. Literally, they are all in on damage, baby. They're square peg meet round hole, like all in on the damage. And then I have to sit here and read posts and watch videos about how it's bad that they can't make this work. If you gave these people a weapon, okay? If you put a weapon in the game that did twice the amount of damage of any other two-hander in the entire game, 4-second speed two-hander, does 200 DPS, but it's like, you know, minus 2,000 HP on your Paladin. These fucking apes would wear that weapon and then bitch at Blizzard that for some reason they're getting killed in PvP. I shit you not. Anyways, all of this to say is that only 30% of this is Ark's fault. Truly, only 30% of this is Ark's fault. It is objectively bad game design from on Blizzard's end that they're basically handing out PvP gear to the Paladins that is extraordinarily poorly optimized for PvP. Then people wear the PvP gear, have bad experience in PvP. They wear the PvP gear that's supposed to be their PvP gear, that Blizzard is telling them, yo, Redhead, this is your PvP gear. Wear this gear. And then they go out and get annihilated and then make videos and posts about how life sucks. Whose fucking fault is that? Like a serious question. It's partly the fault of the person wearing the gear, but dear fucking God, I think it's more the fault of Blizzard. Now, why this is bad game design is because these people are going to get pissed off and just quit the fucking game. And you can see that in the comments section down here. On one hand, our boy has way more comments on this video than any of my videos get. It might have to do with the fact that it gets more views. My videos are weird. More subscribers, fewer views, fewer comments. But most of these comments are just talking about how people have quit the game. And I always find it funny when people complain on the forums that Paladins have an 8-second immunity shield. It's actually 12. Okay. What they forget the part is that Pally isn't invincible. All right. Brilliant. Riveting. I am a PvP addict. Subscribed. Okay. Shamans have been OP since phase 1. I'm learning great things here, people. Holy crap. Crusader Strike should be 25% mana back. Ah! Okay. Deep breaths. Woo! Yeah. Paladin forever. Yeah. Okay. Bravo. Yeah, definitely. We're learning stuff here. Rep Pally is strongest on SOD at the moment. That's a good question. Anyways. Trying to make custom cabinets with a fucking chainsaw. Please do not do it. So yeah, I have no fucking idea. I know why they have such a low mana bar. That part makes sense. I don't know why you're running around with 4,400 HP. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Yeah, you're just going to die. You're going to have a bad PvP experience. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, it gets worse. I forgot it gets worse. Paladin is actually not the class these people are trying to make it in classic World of Warcraft. Like, unironically. So a lot of what they're trying to do is they're trying to take Paladin and basically play it like a warrior. And what I mean by that is they're trying to turn Paladin into this class where it's like, I jump on my enemy and I kill them before they kill me, right? That's what they're trying to do. But, and to be honest, in TBC, that's how Paladin works. In Wrath of the Lich King, that's how Paladin works. In Cataclysm, that's how Paladin works. In every iteration of Classic World of Warcraft, that does make sense, right? It's just when you get to Classic World of Warcraft, you're dealing with something that has potentially eye for an eye and reckoning and can heal itself in combat at the same time. So very quickly, you kind of have a different identity in Classic World of Warcraft because you have so much reflect damage. Paladin is the only class in the game that scales like a motherfucker in DPS purely off of not being alive and not dead, if that makes any sense, right? Reckoning is just sitting there saying to every deep rep Paladin, what the fuck are you doing? Come pick me up. Right? Holy Shock is over there saying to every deep rep Paladin, what the fuck are you doing? Come pick me up. Right? Like, what are we doing at this point? But no. They want to play deep rep Paladin because for some reason they feel they need Repent. Repent is awesome, by the way, for PvP. And then they want to try to force square peg through round hole. I don't know. But yeah, so I've been watching Ark's PvP videos. Very curious to see what life looks like from his perspective. Being whatever the hell he's being right now. But yeah, you are an good sir. You are an improperly geared Paladin for Season of Discovery. You are a poorly geared Paladin for Season of Discovery. Why don't you go wear proper Paladin deep ret gear, and then you can come back and bitch at me that life actually sucks. I don't know what to tell you. I literally don't know what to tell you. When I was on the PTR, okay, let me think about this for a second, because I'm trying to relate to what's going on with him, right? I have videos of me on the PTR where I'm wearing full plus healing gear. I've only got 4,400 HP. I have no fire resist. And I am getting absolutely annihilated by all manner of burst classes, right? We watched me dueling a druid where I'm just getting absolutely smoked with 4,400 HP and no fire resist. Absolutely rickrolled. And then, of course, recently when I was doing duels, I beat druids. I probably have like an 80%-ish win rate versus druids in my current gearing. But again, I've got 4,500 HP. I'm using a Hand of Reckoning because I've got a 5,100 mana bar. All right, let me pause the video and I'll put my gear up here really fast just so we can look at a comparison. Because unironically, if you gear the way I gear my Paladin, the Deep Ret Paladin would probably be really, really good with it. It's like, I don't get it. What are we doing? Just stop fucking up your gearing. It's as simple as that. Just stop fucking up your gearing, as simple as that. Well, actually, we need two things. Number one, we need Paladins to stop screwing up their gearing, and we need Blizzard to pull their fucking head out their ass and make sure that the rank gear has fucking intellect on it, you apes. Anyways. Because, again, I can't really complain about it to these people. They're like, oh, I have no mana. This life sucks, and seasons are... No shit, because Blizzard didn't put mana on your fucking ret gear. And so I have to sit here and try to convince ret heads to not wear ret gear. Do you know how hard it is to convince a ret head to not wear ret gear? It don't... Look at this shit, man. Look. Oh, I deleted it, but look at it. Homie's run at 4,400 HP, 2,700 mana bar. I don't even know how he achieves it, but he does. He's got skills. Ret heads. Anyways, let me put up mine. I can't help these people, so Blizzard's gonna have to be the one to help them with their goddamn mana bar. Otherwise, I guess we can call this season of sitting around and laughing at the redheads. But damn. All right, let me pause the video and I'll put up my gear here really fast. Alrighty, I think that's it. Okay, cool. So you can see here we got talents. Right. Okay, the talents are fine. Perfectly fine. Yeah. This is fine. All right, so my gear is literally almost the exact same gear I just had. Except we swapped it out for stamina, intellect, plus healing gear for the reasons that we talked about previously. The rings got switched to a Seal of the Archmagus and got switched to a Tidal Loop. I thought about putting a Seal of the Archmagus. The entropy rings are just better for a more ret-focused Paladin because you get the melee, critical strike, and so forth and so on. This is more of a ret reckoning Paladin build, or a heal reckoning Paladin build, which is a ret reckoning Paladin, or it's a variant of holy wreck, technically. So we kill through durability significantly more than we kill through just straight up lethality. But you can see that with a Faithbringer, we've got 4,800 mana. So the mana bar is reasonably thick. This is actually quite a thick mana bar for a non-Holy Shock Paladin, for the record. We have 5,181 health, so about similar HP levels. If you eat a wild blossom berry, you're going to easily put yourself up into those numbers where you can't really be blown up out of existence anymore. What's really good about this is the fire resist. You're at like 170 fire resist. You pop your trinket, you go up to 190 fire resist. So at that point, it's just like the odds of many a class killing you are actually quite low. What is our plus healing is 467 plus healing, which is absolutely disgusting. I want to get my hands on a lava dredger. Come here. Lava dredger. Which may or may not be better in the grand scheme of things. It might be better to have a lava dredger. It might not be better to have a lava dredger. But you can see lava dredger will shoot our mana up to 4,222. Probably definitely want Crusader on that one. I'm just checking to see if I want Crusader or not. HP bar is like 5,300 HP bar. That's a really, really thick HP bar. And of course, if I scroll down here, my fire resist is just going bananas. Why did my because I had 190 when I popped it. So yeah, now we have over 200 fire resist with this thing up. At that point, grenades just stop working. Just really really good stuff. But what's our plus healing at now? Yeah, we have over 507 plus healing. Let's just look at this really quick. This, how do I put this? As a Reckoning Paladin, I don't know if I'm going to be beating the crap out of people with... I couldn't honestly tell you. It really depends on what class I'm going up against. Against some classes, I'll be using the Lava Dredger. Against other classes, I'll be using the Faithbringer. So, for example, if I was fighting a Shadow Priest, Shadow Priest is going to be a mana war, so I'm going to want a Lava Dredger. If I'm fighting a Rogue, well, that's kind of an endurance war, so I'm going to want... actually, I'm going to want a Sword and Board. If I'm fighting... probably, if I'm fighting a Boomkin, that's a good example. I definitely want the Lava Dredger. If I'm fighting a Hunter, I'd also want the Lava Dredger. There's going to be a lot of classes where I want a Lava Dredger while I'm healing and being forced to play defensively. Then when I get on top of them, I put a Wreck Bomb into them, and then I can switch over to the Faithbringer and start giving them actual the business. But Lava Dredger is definitely part of that toolkit. Let's see how thick this guy is here really fast. Not on the HP pool, but on the durability side of things. So if I recall correctly, I've got about 450-ish 450 Sacred Shields. Okay, cool. There's also one thing I wanted to check out. I'm going to do that here really fast for a while. What's the name? Soul. Thank God. I wanted to put on the plus healing bits of Soul Forged and see if my attack power and up to 40 healing, attack power up to 40. Okay, cool. I want to put on the plus healing Soul Forged bits and just see what happens instead of the 2-piece Lawbringer. Soul Forge. No, that's not the right one. Plus healing, critical strikes, increase healing done by spells and effects. Yeah, I think that's the right one. Yeah. So if I wear 2-piece Soul Forge, because I've been torn between 2-piece Soul Forge or 2-piece Tier 1 with this gear, and I'm curious if it records the plus 40 healing and spells down. Yeah. So it goes up to 540 healing. So I've been kind of torn between wearing Soulforge Waste and Soulforge Bracers with this build. Just because it literally gives me like plus 40 healing, which is absolutely terrifying. You can see we lost like 100 intellect or 100 mana, which is messed up. But we actually gained. I don't think we gained anything. Maybe we lost like 10 HP. But that is pretty terrifying. At that point, you're like 540 times 0.4 equals like plus 250. Your Sacred Shields are like 466. Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, I'm using a Wild Blossom Berry. I've got about 5,400-ish HP as standing HP, which this build will have. And I have 450 Sacred Shields. Somebody tries to kill me, they're going to have to get through two... If somebody tries to kill me, they're going to have to get through 2 of those. Okay, cool. So that's 900 plus 5,400. You can already see that we're very comfortably surviving just about every burst in the game. We've reached a critical HP breakpoint. We're over the 6,000 mark. This means that no druid can possibly burst me out of existence unless literally all 5 of their spellcast crits. So literally, it would be like their Starfall or whatever crits and stuns me. Then their Star Surge crits me. Then their Moonfire right after that also bothers to crit me. And then, oh, by the way, the next Star Surge within 6 seconds also crits and stuns me. So we're talking like every 4 spell casts and they all crit. I think I have it on video of me getting deleted by that. But that's basically what it's going to take. Because this mana bar is so fucking thick. Now, hear me on this, you guys. Because this mana bar is so fucking thick, you get to do this terrible, awful, no good thing to people called taking Hand of Reckoning, which is dispellable, but it costs no mana. Taking Hand of Reckoning rather than taking Crusader Strike, especially as a Reckoning Paladin, right? Because Reckoning Paladins, I've been playing this particular build with Holy Shock Paladin, and dear God, do I run through my 5,100 mana bar super fucking fast. But as a Reckoning Paladin, that's just not going to happen because you just don't have the buttons to push to run through this mana bar. Since the mana bar is so fucking thick, the next thing you know, you don't even really need Crusader Strike. And if for some reason I decide I don't need Crusader Strike, dear fucking God, that you get to increase that those numbers by something stupid. I wouldn't recommend it. Hand of Reckoning only gives you like an extra 540 HP, it looks like. And then you're adding another, like, 900 from Sacred Shields. So you're like, 6,840 mana or HP. This was about the HP total I tried to take on Zaryu with, and Zaryu just started deleting me out of existence. And I was like, all right, back to the drawing board. But more importantly, your fire resist is still absolutely, disgustingly, insanely monstrous. You see we've lost some fire resist because I took off the Lawbringer. But you're well over 200 fire resist, which means elemental shamans, their burst is absolutely cucked at that point. That's literally the correct terminology. So I did the math on it one time. Basically, they're flame shocking you for like 400, and then they're lava bursting you for like 2,400. And if you add those together, it's like that. But then you have to take only 75% of that. But that's if you were at only 200 or 140 fire resist. So in best case circumstances, rather than doing 2,800 damage to you, they're only doing 2,100 damage to you. Okay. How much HP did I have? If I recall, I had like 6,300 standing fucking HP against an elemental shaman burst. Oh, okay, good luck. You can see the burst coming a mile away. It's literally just like flame shock and then a 2-second spell cast into their burst. And it's like, well, what am I doing for those two seconds? Well, actually, you're flash of lighting yourself, and then you're cleansing off the flame shock so that the lava burst can't 100% crit chance you, obviously. But let's say I just stand there like a full fucking retard, and I just like let the burst happen. Can they even kill you? All right, well, minus 2,100. Okay, cool. They still need to somehow come up with 4,200 HP worth of damage, and that's if I'm fucking AFK. Like good luck. All right, good luck. Good luck with that. Not gonna happen. What's worse is that your fire resist is so high that more often than not, it's not gonna be a 25% damage reduction. It's gonna be on average probably like a 33% damage reduction. Divide by 2 equals times 2 equals, no, my bad, 2,800. It's divide by 3 equals times 2 equals. That'll give you 2/3, which is a 33% damage reduction. So you take 1,800 damage. Okay, cool. What is that? 6,300 minus, like, we'll just say 1,900 for the sake of my sanity. Now they have to go through 4,400. It's not happening. You can't die. And you can see that in my dueling video after dueling video after dueling video. You just can't really be killed. I even tell the rogues when I'm dueling them to T to their heart's content, and they still can't kill me. I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. Yeah. Anyways, gear your damn paladins correctly, people. And we need to start yelling at Blizzard that this rank gear is completely unacceptable. Like this shit right here, this field marshals crap. Let me type in marshals. Marsh. Yeah, this non-intellect having field marshal stuff is just awful. I like the fact that it's really thick on the stamina, but okay, what this piece of gear should read, okay? Every part of this gear is correct for Season of Discovery, except the fact there's no fucking intellect on it. So what it should read is 14 strength, 46 stamina, and 14 intellect. And no, I'm not joking. Like, that's what it should read. And no, that Blizzard doesn't just randomly pull numbers out their ass for the stats. There's actually a formula behind it. So for an item level 74 item, it has a certain amount of stat values that you can put into it. The reason why all stats gear looks like it has so many stats, I can type that in, right? Yeah, the marshals. Let's look at the old marshals gear. Okay, yeah, this is old marshals gear. She has 21 strength, 21 stamina, 20 intellect, critical strike, spell damage, and MP5. She's an all stats piece of gear. And that's exactly what paladins want, even as a rep paladin, even in Season of Discovery. Your intellect bar as a paladin in Season of Discovery is no longer something you can afford to ignore. The only thing keeping us remotely viable in PvP right now is literally Sacred Shield. And it's the fact that Sacred Shield and all the mechanics behind Sacred Shield and the Flash of Light and blah, 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 all of that scales with plus healing. If we did not have any scaling really going on with plus healing like we do in Classic World of Warcraft, this gearing would be completely non-viable for PvP. Yeah. So, anyways, if this gear said something, again, if this piece of gear said 14 strength, 14 intellect, 40 stamina, 1% critical strike chance, spell damage and healing, restore mana per 5, that'd be perfectly fine. But this is unfucking acceptable. 22 strength, 46 stamina, unfucking acceptable. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here on Deus Vult. Apparently, I got to go poke around with their new stupid ideas. I'll make a separate video momentarily bitching at Blizzard that this is unfucking acceptable. Anyways, end the video here and Deus Vult.